I'm going to experiment with a new book that I just bought at Costco. It's called Everyday Keto. And what I'm going to make is not only keto friendly, but it's good for people who have a gluten intolerance. I'm going to be making these spinach quiches, mini spinach quiches. And I'm going to be using my muffin pan to make the mini ones. But I got to thinking, if I were serving these for guests, if I had guests coming to dinner, I would use ramekins, because then I can just put these on the table and they can just eat right out of the ramekin. With other things you can use, I have some brioche cups, these little big brioche tins, these would work. And to make a meal size quiche, I would use one of these covered dishes. Bake in these, because this is bakeware. Not fill it to the top, maybe halfway full, because quiches aren't really thick, or you don't have to make them thick. And then put the lid on it, put it in the refrigerator, and heat it in the microwave later on. There are so many variations here. But anyways, let's make these mini spinach quiches. The recipe calls for 3 slices of bacon. I don't have bacon, but what I do have is prosciutto. I've got a lot of this, actually. It's in the freezer. And I'm going to be using 3 slices of this, which I'm going to chop up. Let's see. That looks like it's about 3 right there. If you're going to use bacon, fry it up well so it starts to brown, and then crumble it. You can fry the prosciutto if you want to crisp it up a little bit. I don't care whether this breaks up or not and tears, because it's all going to be chopped up anyways. So there's my prosciutto diced. Next, I'm going to dice half of a small onion. I'm just finishing up my onion here. Again, this is half of a small onion. I believe this is a yellow onion. I don't know, because somebody gave this to me. Put that in my bowl. And there's my onion. What I have here is 12 ounces of spinach leaves, baby spinach, that I have given a good rinse. So 12 ounces is 340 grams. I have this pan, stem that I missed there. I have this pan over medium-high heat. You can already hear it beginning to sizzle a little bit in there. I'm going to put a lid on there, and I'm going to wilt that spinach down all the way. I may be turning it once or twice during this process. I'm going to open this carefully so I don't fog my camera lens. I didn't put any water in this pan, by the way. I just used the water that was in the spinach from it being rinsed. And you can see how much that is already wilted down. I reduced my heat to medium once it got going. Let that cook for another minute or 2. I transferred that cooked spinach to a bowl to cool. So I'm putting a little bit of cooking olive oil in this pan. I did wipe it out after I cooked the spinach. And then I'm going to put my onion in there. And what I decided to do while I was contemplating my spinach cooking, I decided I'm going to put my chopped prosciutto in there. And then brown that a little bit while the onions are cooking. And that'll also release a little bit of the fat in the prosciutto, which will add some flavor. And I want to cook these onions until they're translucent and tender. That'll take about 5 minutes, and I'm cooking this over medium heat. Once these really get going, I might turn the heat down to medium-low. My spinach has had a chance to cool down a little bit, so I'm going to squeeze the excess moisture out. This is a trick I learned from one of the fans of my YouTube channel. I used to do this by hand. So I had to really wait for the spinach to cool down all the way so I wouldn't burn myself. This is still hot, but it's not boiling hot. So she, or he, I can't remember, said if you get a potato ricer, use a potato ricer. And voila, it works so much better. So place that in there. And then slowly squeeze. You can do this if you're using frozen spinach that you've thawed. This is one way to squeeze the moisture out. One thing I do want to do before I turn my spinach back to the pan is I want to just give it a light chop so I don't have any big pieces. I'm not going to reduce this down to a dice. I just want to break it up enough. And now I can return that to my skillet to finish removing moisture. I brought the heat back up under my prosciutto and onions. Get my spinach in there. Spinach is already cooked. It's just to cook off a little bit more moisture. I'm going to grate some black pepper in there. Maybe a quarter to a half teaspoon. And then, because it goes so well with spinach, I'm going to grate some fresh nutmeg in there. I have a nutmeg pod and a nutmeg grater. Again, maybe an eighth to a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg. You could add fresh nutmeg from a jar, a little spice jar. Okay. And then finally, a little pinch of salt. Not much, because the cheese I'm going to be adding later is going to add some salt. And I'm going to stir this over medium heat for maybe 3 minutes just to remove some extra moisture from that spinach. I'm going to add some ricotta cheese to this. This is way more than I need. I bought a 32 ounce, 907 gram tub. I only need about half of this, about 15 ounces, 425 grams. So I'm going to be putting in what looks like a half. That should be enough, maybe a little bit more. I love ricotta. It's got a slightly sweet flavor. I love ricotta. Yum. Okay. What I have here is 2 cups, or about 8 ounces by weight, 230 grams of shredded Gruyère cheese. And then I have 1 cup, 4 ounces by weight, roughly 215 grams of grated Parmesan. This is actually Romano cheese, which is going to add a little bit more of a salty flavor. So again, earlier I went kind of light on the salt, and I'm just going to blend all this up, which is going to take a little bit. It's not done yet. I have some eggs to go in here, but I don't want to add the raw egg until I get a taste of this to make sure that it's seasoned the way I want. I put a rubber glove on because the most efficient way, I think, to mix this up is to get your hands in there and get that all mixed around. Something I learned from a chef a long time ago. She said, get your hands in there. That's how you get the love into the food. Okay, I've got my eggs. I have 3 eggs that I've beaten up with a whisk. But before I put those in there, I want to just take a little taste of my filling. Ooh, that is wonderful. Okay. It's the Gruyère. I can really taste that. Well, no, it's the Romano as well. Really nice flavor. Okay, put the egg in there. Might as well use the same glove. And then get this all carefully blended up until it's all mixed thoroughly. I sprayed my muffin tin with non-stick cooking spray, and in the meantime, I'm heating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 175-ish Celsius. And what I'm going to try to do is divide my filling here among these 12 cups. And I'm probably going to have an awful lot here. So if I have extra left over, I'm going to fill a ramekin or two just to see how well that works. So you see what I'm doing here. This is going to take a minute or two. So there they are. A muffin pan, 12 cups full, and then one ramekin. Experiment. These are ready to go into the oven. Again, I heated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 175 Celsius. I'm going to bake these for 40 to 45 minutes until the eggs are well set. And I'm not sure how I'm going to check that. Probably going to use a digital thermometer and make sure that the temperature is up high enough. So there they are, out of the oven. I took this out of the oven 10 minutes ago. The directions said to let them cool 10 minutes in the tin before transferring them out. Meanwhile, while these were cooking for 40 minutes, I went online and I did some research, and I found that the ideal temperature at which to cook quiche inside is at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, 74 Celsius, but not more than 185 degrees Fahrenheit, 85 degrees Celsius, which means that at 40 minutes, that's too long, because these got up to just over 200 degrees. So when I write this recipe up from my website, I'm going to say 20 to 30 minutes, or until the egg is set, or to these temperatures that I found online. Meanwhile, what I want to do is set that aside a little bit. I have a little plate here. I have a little plastic palette knife that oh, look at that. See that spin around? No sticking at all. Put that on my plate. And then see what that tastes like. Looks cooked all the way through at that temperature it should be. Have a little taste of my quiche here. Tastes like quiche. That is good. That is really, really good. I am very pleased with this. So it's just after 2 o'clock. Excuse me, I'm going to go enjoy an afternoon snack of my, what do I call this? No crust, no pastry, mini spinach quiches.